Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Becky, and if you're new here then welcome and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. We are going to be doing a DIY trinket tray in today's video. It's going to be super easy to make, you just need a few items and it's going to be really nice if you want to put candles on it like this one here, or if you want to use it to put like some of your nail files and bits in on your desk at work, anything like that. So, without further ado, grab yourself a drink and let's go on with the video. Okay guys, so for today's video, you are going to need... I'm just having a drink out of my fake Stanley because ain't nobody got about £50 to spend on a real one. Although, I won't say no, if someone bought me one, I'd be taking it because mine leaks. But anyway, I digress. What we need for today's video is a rolling mat. You can use it on your normal surface, but obviously just be wary that the clay might stick. So this is just one that I can use for baking as well, but I have two just so I know that I'm not like contaminating it when I want to put icing on it. I have got some moulding tools. These are again actually for icing, but you can get clay specific ones. I've just got some round edged ones and then ones with some like different designs on, and a sharp ended one just so I can cut the clay and imprint different impressions. You're then going to want, so I've got this little kit and I've just written Rebecca Louise in here again. This is what I use for baking, for stenciling. I just picked this up off of Amazon and it's basically just like a cookie icing impression, and you can write different things in, you can slide the letters in. So I just know that I want to personalise my little trinket tray, so I'm going to use this. Again, I'll link everything down below. You're also then going to want some air dry clay. So I use this in some of my Christmas crafts and it has stayed nice and malleable. It's not set basically, I've kept it in an airtight container. This is light grey, you can get them in loads of different colours. So with this is a Primo brand, self-hardening clay. I've also used the KAS brand, I think it's CAS. I actually picked this up in TK Maxx, but you can get it from Hobbycraft, The Range, B&M, any places like that. And then you're also going to want, now this is more for after it's set and dried, you're going to want some paint brushes. That was woody. They're doing something around the house and it's making a lot of noise, so if you can hear that in the background, I do apologise. Literally, as I just decided to start filming, all this noise started going off, so now it's disturbed Woody, and I should have basically just started filming earlier, but hey ho. So I've also got some acrylic paint in the colours that I want to paint on the clay. I've got this triple thick brilliant brush on gloss glaze just to give it a shine. You can use epoxy resin. I'm just quite conscious of using that just because it can give off some fumes and it's not beginner friendly, I wouldn't say anyway. It's quite technical to use, so I just got this. And then I've also just got this little paint palette to put my paints in, but like I said, we won't need that until the next part of the video. To start, it might be useful to get a cutout template off of online. If I can find one, I will link it down below for you, just so you can have like some paper cutouts so you know where you wanting to cut kind of like the base of your trinket dish and the wall sizes. But because I already have one here, I'm just going to use this as my guide. Then what I'm going to do is actually just take my rings off because I don't want to get any clay in them. And you're also going to want a rolling pin. And we're just going to start by rolling out our air drying clay. Then I'm going to roll it to probably around about an inch or a centimetre thick. Now you might get some air bubbles forming in your clay, but that's fine. You can just go in with a really sharp tool, like the end of this, just burst them and keep rolling. And this can also double up as your arm workout for the day because clay can be tough to roll. So I don't know whether you can see, but I've just got an air bubble forming here. So I'm just gonna cut that and press it back down. And then once you're happy that you've got kind of enough surface area that you're going to need for your trinket tray, you can stop rolling, and that's when you can get your template or your measure, and that's when you can kind of go in and we'll start cutting around it. I'm just getting rid of some of these air bubbles. I swear he knows when I'm filming because he never whines at the cupboard, and as soon as I start filming he knows that I'm going to want him to be quiet, so he knows he can get a treat. So he's just sat there. Then I'm just going in with my hand and I'm just smoothing the clay out a little bit. But that's fine, if you've got bumps in it we can sort all that out at the end. So I'm just going to go like that and just gently press onto the clay to get an outline, and then I can cut round it. So as you can see, hopefully I can clearly see where the different indents of the rim are going to be and where the outside is going to be. So what I'm actually going to do is cut round the outside, and then I'm going to use this inner rim to make my border, and then I know that's the template where to stick it. Now if this isn't sharp enough, you can use a knife for this. Okay, so once you've done that, don't worry if the outer ridges of your base aren't smooth. So as you can see here, I've got a few different lines where I've cut it, but that's completely fine because that is something we can just smooth out. Just with a flat surface, you're just going to gently mould them back into the tray, just so we can get a nice smooth edge. And this is a really fun craft to do if you've got your girlfriends over, if you wanted to do it just as like a nice little piece for some self-care for yourself. It's really easy to make, and you know you're going to make some really nice pieces at the end of it. And this is something that you could do just for yourself, or if you wanted to gift it to someone. So I've just been going in and smoothing that over. Then what I am going to do is just get a little bit of water as well. So I've just got a little shot glass of water here, and then I'm just going to use that just to really kind of smooth out my edges. And then once you're happy with that, we need to roll out a rim for the side then. Now this is where it might get a bit more fiddly. So with your clay, you just want to remold it in your hands to try and push all those pieces together. And then we kind of want, honestly, he's just, what are you doing? He's an absolute attention seeker. I think he just wants to be in the videos. So for the rim, you'd want a long piece because you want to try and cut it all in one go. So I'm going to roll it into a bit of a sausage and just make sure it's nice and long. Because if we can cut it all in one go and stick it on, we're only going to have one seam compared to trying to stick loads of bits on and having to join them together. So as I'm rolling, I'm trying to stretch the clay out with my hands. And you can kind of see with your base if it's going to fit all the way around or whether you need to keep rolling. And then once you're kind of happy, you can just gently go in with your rolling pin. Okay, you want it to be a good thickness, so don't roll it too thin. I'd say you want it probably about 1 centimetre thick. And then this is where you're going to want some straight lines, so you might want to get a ruler here. I don't think I have one, so I'm just going to go in freehand. And I'm going to get a really sharp knife for this. So I'm going to cut off a straight edge. Again, don't worry if there's any bits that kind of peel off with it because we can smooth those at the end. Okay, so I just have this as a guider. This is just a piece of plastic, but if you don't have kind of a set piece of plastic like this, you can just cut out a piece of card and use that to guide so you know that it's all going to be the same height. Because otherwise you're going to end up with a bit of a wonky piece. And I'm just going to press this on just so I know where to cut. Okay, so now I've done that, I'm going to cut off the edges. Okay, so now you've got kind of your long wall piece. I'm just going to go in again with, here it is, my sharp tool end, and just smooth the sides where I've cut. Just to really make sure that it's nicely stuck in. Okay, and then from this you're going to want to get your base. Now I'm going to press my writing in now because it's going to be a lot harder to do any customization on it once you've got your rim around the outside. So I'm going to just trial it on a rough piece first to make sure that it's going to come out how I want it, because otherwise I'm going to have to re-roll this. Okay, I am really happy with that spacing. That's kind of what the draft looks like. I'll show you up close. Apologies, because my hands look disgusting and they are covered in clay, so they just look really dry, but hey ho. So now that I know I'm happy with that spacing, I'm just going to go back in on here and try and get it really central. Nice, okay, so that has sat on there. Now, I'm not going to move it to show you, I will show it you at the end, but I'm just going to score some lines in where I'm going to stick the rim. So I'm just doing some little sharp lines around the edge. And then what I'm going to do is, with a really small chunk of my clay, I'm just going to mush it in and add a good amount of water to it. I'm just going to massage the water into the clay with my fingers, just to try and make like a paste with the clay, because then that's going to act as like a glue for us to stick this really nice outer ridge on. As you can see, this isn't very technical. This is probably not the right way to do it, but this is my first time trying it, and sometimes I think that's the best way to show you guys, because I'm just as much as a beginner as some of you guys probably are. So I'm hoping this is a really easy, user-friendly way to do this, and then it's just something that you guys can do without any kind of prep or thought. So I'm gonna go in with my rim. Start by lining it round that kind of indent that I made. Make sure you're pressing it up to the sides of your base as well, so it's not going to have like a lip. So it should all just kind of flow nicely. And then as you can see, because we made it long enough, I've not had to do any little pieces on it, so I can just see where that's meant to join and cut the clay and join it up, so you just have one seam. Now this is probably going to be the most time consuming bit, because this is where we really want to seal the edges in. So what I'm going to do is first go in with some of like my water and my clay mix, or just water, and I'm just going to start by kind of pressing the seams together. So if you've ever made sausage rolls, and you know when you seal the pastry over and you get a fork and you're just pressing the pastry together to seal it, that's all I'm doing with this. Just gently. It doesn't matter if you start getting some marks, because we can tidy that up and kind of sort it all out so it looks like a nice seamless seal later. Okay, so now I've kind of gone in and sealed the rim to the base. I'm just going in with a small round tool, a bit of my water and clay. Again, you don't need a tool. If you don't have the tools, you can easily just use your fingers for this. And I'm just going in and smoothing over any indents that we made. Okay, so hopefully you could kind of see as I was smoothing it out on those last video clips. Really happy with how this has turned out. I think it's going to look super cute, especially once it's painted with a bit of pink, a bit of gold. Obviously you can do like whatever colours you want. Ideally I would have preferred it if it had a white base, but because I don't want to paint it all white, I'm just going to leave it like this grey colour, and hopefully it'll look kind of like that rustic, cementy type of vibe. So what you're going to want to do is move this onto some solid surface. So I have an air drying rack here. Now obviously it has bumps in it. If you don't want bumps going into the bottom of your creation, you can just kind of rest it on a cutting board and probably put some greaseproof paper under it so it doesn't stick to it. But I'm just going to move this onto my air drying tray here, just so the base can get air to it as well. And then just make sure it's all kind of in the shape that you want it, making sure the rims of your trinket dish are kind of straight and aligned, they're not buckling out anywhere. And that is what it's looking like at the moment. Super happy with it. So I'm going to leave this to dry. Now, I'd probably recommend leaving it 2 to 3 days to dry before painting it, just to make sure that you've got all of the moisture out of the clay and you know it's going to set properly then once you paint and glaze it. So I'm going to pass over to the Rebecca of the future, and she's going to take you through painting it. Okay guys, so the trinket tray has been setting for a week now. It is fully dry. The one thing I would recommend, I don't know whether you can see, but it kind of, it's not fully flat. So what I would recommend is while you're drying it, maybe just kind of put some greaseproof paper in the middle and weigh it down with some pastry beads, just to make sure that it is flat to the ground, because it does seem to have got a bend in it as it's dried. I'm not really sure why that's happened, to be honest. So all I'm going to do now is just go in and paint some of it. I'm going to leave some of it exposed just because I like that aesthetic, but you can obviously go in with whatever colours you want, and I'm just using basic acrylic paints. It's nothing special, not for clay. They're just kind of some cheap ones that I found from Great Art, and that's what I'm going to go in. So I've got some gold, some pink and some ready pink, and I'm just going to make it up as I go along. So I'm just doing some gold on this rim here. Okay, and then once you're happy with that, I'm going to go in and paint the insides. I'm going to paint everything inside first just so I can hold it while I'm painting it and not have to worry about smudging any paint. Now obviously the more time that you spend on this, the neater you can make it, but you can make it look really rustic. You don't have to get really clean lines on it. It's completely up to you and how much time you've got to spend on it. Okay, so now that I've done the inner rim, I'm just going to go in and add a few bits of lighter pink to the heart indents that I made. Okay, so I decided I didn't like the gold rim, so I've gone over that in pink. I think I'm going to leave this there because I think that'll look quite nice once it's glazed. Again, I wish this was a white clay, but I didn't have any white clay and I didn't want to go out and buy any. I just wanted to use the pack that I already had open. So what I'm going to do now is just go around the outside in this pink colour as well. And then you just need to leave it to dry and we can go in with the glaze. Okay, so I've ended up doing a pink rim and top, and then I've done like a dark reddy pink inside, and then I've just done the hearts in pink. Now I'm going to leave that to dry and set, and then that is when you'll go in with the glaze. If I have enough time to glaze it today, I will show you what that looks like glazed. If not, I will show you what it looks like now up close. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, and if you have, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button also. And while you're down there, comment the pink love heart emoji, just because that's kind of been the theme of the trinket dish that we've made today. And I'll catch you at the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.